What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm excited to bring you my next installment of EDC Walk and Talk. I think we're on volume 3. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of escaping my memory right now. Real quick before we get started, just a quick pocket check. Got my Redeemed Creation Slim Wallet. I have a couple of these and I really like them. Highly recommend you check them out. He has a couple of bifolds, and then he has these minimalist style wallets which are really nice. I like those a lot. Also, I have today my AD Demco 20.5. This one here is the DLT Trading exclusive. It came with the OD Green FRN scales. I went ahead and added a set of Arctic Storm fat carbon scales from Carbodize over on Instagram. Lynch Northwest making this really nice titanium deep carry pocket clip, and I went ahead and threw a set of skiffs into this one. Really like this. This is a really nice EDC. Take you through my hitch and timber organizer real quick. I got my Fischer Space Pen. I have my, I think it's Stardust or Starburst Olight. I had someone comment on the fact that they got this one and it didn't have as much blue sparkles on it, and I didn't even really notice until I did the review on that particular one. This one sits down in the pocket, by the way, which is why I really like it, because it goes down in the pocket and then I can carry that, have the option to carry like a fifth pocket or a secondary knife. Really quickly, I did want to talk about my Lion Steel Best Man 2. There is another knife out there that is a slip joint that's coming out that is a made in China knife. Seems like it's really nice, and I have not handled it. However, someone made a comment to me that the Lion Steel Best Man 2 was not a comparable knife and it wasn't as well made. Let me just stop you right there. This is an extremely well made knife. It has a beautiful drop point shaped blade made out of M390 with a very nice grind. It is super thin and slicey. It is chamfered on the spine, and that chamfering carries down into the lock spine, which is a extremely nice detail, and it takes a little bit extra to make that happen on the knife, and I think that it really adds to the ergonomics. It keeps everything nice and comfortable in hand. It is rounded all around the knife. It has titanium bolsters, which is also rounded. There's no sharp spots, and the Walk and Talk is really nice. I like the fact that you're bringing a new product to the market and that you're hype and trying to promote it, but I really think putting down the Lion Steel Best Man 2, which is better than the Benchmade Proper. I actually got rid of my Proper after picking this up. I think that's a sad mistake. I think you stand on the morals of your product, but you don't talk crap about other products, especially this Italian made knife, which is extremely well done. Okay, that is out of the way. A quick housekeeping, a couple of things that I wanted to cover. I am going to be retiring the Instagram video that I normally do on Sundays. I am going to be working on something else to replace that. And with that out of the way, if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like, consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn your notifications on so you get alerts whenever future videos drop. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today, first and foremost, is going to be the collection of knives and hobbies of knives. A lot of folks out there don't really understand why people spend so much money on a knife or why they have so many of them. And I think that's really because they're just not looking at it very objectively. So, the reality is, could you go out, spend $30, get yourself a buck 110, and it serve the purpose that you need for a pocket knife? Absolutely. It's going to have a really sharp edge. It's going to cut anything that you're going to need to do, get into your packages, cut away some zip ties, some loose string. It's going to take care of all of your needs. It's going to have very comfortable ergonomics, lightweight in pocket, a very reliable and strong lock, and it's a made in the USA product. So absolutely, yes, you could, without a doubt, go out and get you a buck 110 for $30, and it'll take care of your pocket knife needs. Here's the thing. Yes, everyone could go out there and get a buck 110. Yes, it would take care of everyone's cutting needs for the most part. However, would you want to drive a Toyota Camry and have everyone else drive the exact same Toyota Camry, sure, it'll take care of your needs. It's going to get you back and forth to work. It's going to get you to the grocery store. It's going to, keep you cool in the hot summer, keep you warm in the cold winter. It's going to do everything that you want it to do. But is that what you really want? Do you want a buck 110? Do you want a Toyota Camry? Now, I'm saying that not to diss the buck 110. Honestly, I think everyone who is a knife collector for $30 should experience a buck 110, should have one in the collection. I think it's awesome to support a USA made knife that makes a knife affordable, that is very well built for $28. I think everyone should have one. That's not my point. My point is, not everybody wants to drive a freaking Camry. So you need to get over that crap. I just think that you really are missing the point when it comes to collecting knives. I actually have a couple of lockback knives here today that I actually have discovered recently that I really enjoy. I never thought I'd be a lockback knife type guy, and I actually have to attribute that to my Chris Reeve knife, because that is a slow roller. It is a frame lock. It's not a lockback, but I found it oddly satisfying to slow roll open a knife. I didn't think that I would. I really didn't think that I would. I really love bearing action and unique locks and the ability to kind of, be able to flip open your knife and kind of fidget with it a little bit, which was a nice factor. That's not really walk and talk, but man, that talk from the lockup is really loud. I don't know if y'all hear it as loudly as I do, but it was very interesting to me to experience that. And I would say, the Andela is probably a little bit more pricey than going out and getting yourself a $30 buck 110, but man, it is very satisfying to use, and it has an impressively done hollow grind. Now, I did have to strap mine up, but just a little bit of stropping, like 10 or 15 strops on each side, has this thing just slicing through paper now. So really impressed what you're getting with this for the money. Now, the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is price point, right? A lot of folks go out there and get like a Reich or a Sativian. Gonzo, I think, makes knives for under $30 as well. And I see comments all the time, and I get it. If you're on a budget, that's all you can afford. I respect that and I appreciate that. My thinking is, when you have 4 or 5 of these, you could have potentially gone out and picked yourself a bug out, right? And I don't mean to keep harping on this, so I'm going to move through this quickly because this is not the other part of the subject that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about collecting in general. But when you spend that much money, are you curious about a knife like this or interested in a knife like this? I think there's also the option of doing the SIG K320, which you can get for about $130, a little bit more expensive, but it's a very interesting knife. And if you can't, you can't. If you're spacing it out, you're spacing it out. But this is the other part of the conversation that I want to talk about. So something like a Chris Reeve knives, right? That's super expensive. If you're just getting into knife collecting, it's probably something that's not immediately attainable. And it may not be Chris Reeve. It could be Hinderer. Maybe it's Chavez. I mean, there's so many out there. My point being is that there's this higher end knife that you may want to collect and keep, for a lifetime, or as an heirloom to hand down to your kids one day or something to that effect. I totally plan on keeping this Chris Reeve and Cosi as a hand-me-down to my kids, whichever one wants it. I actually have a few of those in my collection that I would like to leave for them as a hand-me-down. Well, let's be honest, they're going to get the whole collection of whatever it is that stays on my inventory for that long. But this is one that I think would stand the test of time. And ironically, so is the Lion Steel. This is not a knife that is going to easily or quickly wear out. And I think it's a very tasteful, gentlemanly knife that comes from an era where this was really all that anyone really needed for a knife. And those half stops were nice safety measures. So I think that's something to be said about the build quality. But going back to my point here, I didn't come out of the pocket for this all at once. Yes, I did sell some of my inventory off to be able to afford a knife at this price point. But the other thing that I found that I took advantage of when I bought this from Knife Joy was the fact that they offer sizzle, and that's a really nice option. Even if you've saved all the money up, it kind of breaks it up over 4 payments, or how many ever payments you need to do, which is a really nice way to be able to afford something a little bit more premium, a little bit easier to swallow the pill, seeing that you're breaking it up over in installments, right? You're making monthly payments on it, kind of like it's easier to swallow the purchase of a car. If you had to come out of pocket $30,000 to buy a brand new car, wow, right? That would sting. But making the monthly payments on it, what you can afford on your budget to get that more expensive product, that I think is a very interesting premise and a nice way to be able to do that. And that goes to collecting on anything, really. I think when you start to be able to break those payments up and make it over installments and kind of get something that you're really going to cherish and appreciate and just really enjoy, I think that's awesome. I think that's a really nice way to do that. Now, another thing that I've done in the past, and let me bring it on out here so I can talk about that, was I really wanted to pick up a Chavez. Now, I know this is a little bit more of a personal preference. You really have to, I love the look of this, right? I love the lines on this. I just love the big chunky blockiness of it. I think it's fantastic. I love the skull clip. I think it's just a really cool knife. But again, this is another one. I did sell some stuff to kind of put towards it, but I actually bought this from Blade HQ and I took advantage of their layaway program, and I had them take this out in 4 installments. It's a little tough doing the layaway versus the sizzle. The layaway, you have to make the payments and then they send you the product. So you end up having to wait, but it's really nice and an interesting way to be able to afford something that might be a little bit more expensive, where you could make 4 payments of X. So I say that specifically because if you're spending $30 to $50 and you're making 4 $50 payments, that's a $200 knife. That's a paramilitary 2, a para 3 in a certain model. That's a bug out, or maybe a mini Adamas, even a Demco, or perhaps there's something else that you're interested in that realm. Making 4 installments of $50, and granted it's weekly. I think there are weekly payments for Sizzle, but I think that's a way that they can kind of make sure that the cadence is there so that the payments are being made. But still, that comes down to about $100 a paycheck if you get paid every 2 weeks, and that still might be a little bit much. But my point being is that if you've collected a bunch of affordable knives, and if that's your interest, that is fine. If your interest is actually collecting a large inventory or having a large collection of knives, that is fine. There is nothing wrong with that, and I fully admit that there are some very nice quality knives in that budget realm. Having said that, when you do start to creep up over that $50 price point, and let me bring something out here that's a really good example of that. When you start to cross over that $50 price point, this Civivi Conspirator is a prime example of something that you cannot get for under $50 currently. I'm sure that there's going to be a maker out there that comes out with something that's going to perform pretty well, that's a button lock, but you're getting now a Nitro V steel. You're getting very well done micarta and an extremely well done button lock. Super impressive. And I say all the time that it's not as good as my ProTech, but the Malibu is hard to get because they can't keep it in stock, and it's a pretty expensive knife. That one you'd have to be able to get it when it's coming in and put it into the layaway program all at the same time really quickly, right? So that's a tall order. But what I'm saying is, when you start to get over that $50 threshold, you really do find that there's a different level of quality of knife and different things that you can get, such as a button lock, such as a shark lock, such as a axis lock from Benchmade, which are all really ingenious designs. They are leading the industry in capability, strength, safety, keeping fingers out of the blade path, even if you're just deploying it with the thumb studs. even if you're just closing it two-handed and you're not into all the fidgetiness, it's still something that I think all of us agree is very cutting edge technology, even still to this day. It's been around a while and they had the market on it a while, so there's a few makers that are just now getting around to it. But I just think there's ways that you can easily afford and justify being able to do something like this, because it could be much worse, right? I'm not picking on anybody out there that really enjoys smoking cigars and drinking alcohol, because you work hard, and by all means and account, whatever it is that you do that brings you joy and enjoyment, as hard as you work to earn and get that, do so. All I'm saying is that that cigar is going to damage your lungs, and that alcohol is going to damage your liver. Now, of course, everything in moderation is fine, and I'm not judging or knocking anyone. What I'm saying is that this hobby, if you're investing in it and it brings you joy and happiness, and there's things out there that are of a higher end that you want to get, do it. You live once. Life is short. You work hard, enjoy yourself. Whatever it is that you do. I'm just saying this hobby is probably, and it's funny to say that about a pocket knife, but it's probably less damaging to your body than some other things that you could be doing with your money. Anyway, that was just something I wanted to cover today. I thought it was a very interesting subject, and I wanted to kind of share that with you guys and get your feedback and thoughts on that. So I appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you for the support. Why does it look like I bumped this tripod? I totally wasn't looking up, so I apologize if I bumped you guys around today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.